Episode kicks off with Kim spilling his guts to this AI robot, talking about how his life's a living hell and how he absolutely hates his job. But hey, he's stuck doing it anyway. Does the robot care? Nope, it doesn't give a damn. Just like the middle child in a family, Kim's completely ignored. The AI robot just leaves him hanging, and Kim's left feeling even more depressed. We find out that the robot's name is Pax, and Kim's feeling betrayed because even Pax won't talk to him. Out of nowhere, another AI robot strolls up and tells Kim to move aside because it's got a package to transport. He steps aside, and the robot takes the package and goes. Kim's sinking deeper into his depression, feeling like he's on the edge of madness. He needs real human interaction, the warmth of a person, not cold machines. You don't want your girlfriend to be a robot, do you? Complete the like goal of 4,100 and please subscribe if you're new. I only need your like and subscribe to keep going. The scene zooms out and we see this massive Logitech warehouse with drones flying around and AI robots doing all the work, packaging, delivering, the whole 9 yards. And there's Kim, managing these machines, barking out orders. He glances up and thinks, man, I've really ended up in the wrong place. Then we get the backstory. It all started 2 months ago, right after Kim got discharged from the military. He was ecstatic about getting out, but that happiness didn't last long. His parents called him up and told him they'd moved to another city and left the old house behind. They paid for 6 months of rent on a place for Kim and basically told him, go live your life, make money, be successful. That was the day Kim's hellish life began. At first, Kim was loving it. No parents to nag him, 6 months of rent paid in advance, and a little nest egg from his savings. He figured he'd coast for a bit, maybe land a part-time job at a cafe, meet some girls, and just enjoy life. But the world wasn't that kind. Every cafe he walked into told him the same thing. Gotta have a year's experience, or gotta be really handsome, or better yet, gotta be a girl. Kim's dreams of chatting with girls at a cafe job crushed. So he started applying for other jobs, but one by one, the rejections piled up. 2 months later, his savings were drying up, and depression hit him hard. Feeling useless, Kim messaged his sisters, telling them he felt like the biggest loser in the world. And what did his sisters do? Made fun of him, of course. He's so lazy he's got them saved in his phone as Sister Hash 1 and Sister Hash 2. But Sister Hash 2 had an idea. She had a friend who could get him a job at the biggest delivery agency around. And that's how Kim ended up working at Amazonia. Kim's standing there, still looking up, thinking he can't believe this is his life now, delivering packages in a warehouse full of robots. His partner's a machine, and in return, he doesn't even get a decent conversation. Just as he's lost in thought, his manager walks up and Kim tenses up. The manager says they're out of tuna cans, but the AI system shows the storehouse is fully stocked. He tells Kim to go check the warehouse. Kim smiles on the outside, but inside, yeah, we all know how miserable he feels, but what else can he do? He heads to the warehouse and starts hunting for tuna cans. After a while, he finds them, climbs a ladder, grabs a box, and just as he's about to head down, bam! He hears a loud noise. Kim spins around and sees the 10-inch thick iron door slam shut. His heart sinks. He runs to the door, grabs the handle, and tries to yank it open, but no luck. In a panic, he calls his manager, but no answer. Now Kim's frustrated. He thinks about calling 911, but decides against it. Maybe it's just a technical glitch. He's not locked in a freezer or anything. It's not like he's going to run out of oxygen anytime soon. No need to blow this out of proportion, right? If he calls 911 for something small like this, his manager might flip out. So Kim waits, but he's bored. He snaps a selfie, sends it to Sister Hash 2, and tells her he's stuck in the warehouse. He figures he'll wait until evening, and if nobody shows up, then he'll call 911. She laughs, but then suddenly texts back, saying a building outside her place collapsed. Now Kim's stressed. He tries calling his sister, but she's not picking up. He's starting to get a bad feeling, and just as he's trying to process everything, the ground starts shaking and his phone falls to the floor. The warehouse alarm blares and an AI voice screams for all employees to evacuate immediately. Kim's heart is racing. He starts banging on the iron door, screaming, "I'm still in here! Open the door!" But nothing. 2 minutes pass and he gets no response. Desperate, he decides it's time to call 911, but when he grabs his phone, there's no signal. Kim's mind is racing. He's thinking, has the war started? Is the other country dropping bombs? He's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, but before he can, he hears a thud from outside the door. Kim freezes. His eyes go wide, something slamming against the 10-inch iron door, and it's bending like it's made of cardboard. Kim's hands start shaking and find his family. After about 30 minutes, night falls, and he's managed to take down almost 12 orcs during this short journey. He then reveals to us that he has learned one valuable thing after taking down 12 orcs. But before he can explain anything about his discovery, a monster suddenly appears and tries to attack him. Kim quickly retreats into his subspace, leaving the monster outside. While the monster is immobilized, he uses his shipment ability again to deliver the axe with incredible speed. Unfortunately, the axe misses its mark slightly and only injures the monster's shoulder. To use his shipment ability again, Kim has to wait 30 seconds for the cooldown, and there's also a range limit of 10 meters. Despite these downsides, he's learned that his skills are pretty amazing and can be improved by gathering mana stones and upgrading them. Besides shipment, Pax's ability has other applications, and we will figure out soon what that is. Suddenly, the monster notices movement behind him, and when he turns around, he sees the axe flying back into the portal, and then it comes back, hitting him in the face again, sealing his fate on the spot. This is actually the second application of Pax's shipment ability, which is also known as product retrieval. It automatically brings back dispatched items, which is just as convenient as the shipment ability. Kim uses his retrieval ability once more to get the mana stone from the monster. He's kind of curious why he can't simply retrieve the mana stone like this without killing the monster. He then asks Pax the same question and learns that he can only use the retrieve skill on the stone because it belongs to him only after he kills the monster. Nevertheless, Kim steps out of his subspace and reveals to us another piece of crucial information he had learned about this apocalyptic world. Apparently, the bizarre orcs aren't the only creatures ravaging the planet. There are also winged monsters, and he knows it's going to take a lot to hunt one of those down. Suddenly, he hears cries for help. But before he can figure out who is calling, the scene transitions to a man named Choi, desperately trying to run. He's so exhausted that each step seems heavier than the last, and a flying creature is trying to hunt him down. The monster swoops in, slamming the man from behind and sending him crashing to the ground in agony. There's another person behind the injured man, but before this other guy can help his friend up, the monster lands right in front of him and blocks his path. Its ferocious mouth is drooling, as if human flesh is the most delicious thing in this area. But strangely enough, the monster doesn't attack the man standing in front of it. Instead, it turns its gaze toward Choi, who is lying on the ground, groaning in pain. The man is bewildered to see that the monster isn't attacking him and realizes that this creature was targeting Choi all along. Likely because Choi is smaller and seems like an easier target. He has no clue what to do against this giant monster to save his friend, because all he has is this little knife, and he's not sure if this knife can even be used to distract the monster. Just then, the ring of a bicycle bell echoes through the area, and not surprisingly, it's our boy speeding toward them. But these two have no idea who or what is coming their way. Before they can process what's happening, they watch in shock as the monster that was hunting them down is struck by a projectile, sending it sliding across the ground from the force of the blow. The monster was knocked down by a single throw of an axe, leaving both of the men struggling to process what they had just seen. Kim quickly checks if they are all right, but they are still in awe, their jaws hanging open as they try to grasp how someone on a bicycle managed to defeat a flying wyvern with just an axe. The two of them quickly ask Kim if he is a soldier, and they begin bowing their heads in respect, grateful for saving their lives. Kim, glad that they are safe, answers their question by pointing to his uniform. He explains that he is an employee of Pax FC, and they can see he is wearing the company's uniform. This revelation shocks them even more. They had assumed he was a seasoned soldier given his impressive skills and appearance. Even if he wasn't a soldier, his abilities are so extraordinary that if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they'd never have believed that someone could take down a wyvern with a simple axe throw while riding a bicycle. Kim is surprised to learn that these people are familiar with the concept of abilities. One of them quickly agrees, mentioning that he has an awakened ability himself, though it's just a modest driving ability. Given the circumstances, he hasn't had a proper chance to use it. The other Choi begins to laugh and admits he feels a bit envious because he hasn't awakened any ability himself. Kim then asks if there are any other people around. Choi confirms that there are not, explaining that they are in Block C, which has a logistics center. A lot of people gathered here, but unfortunately, monsters did too. Most of the people were attacked, killed, or eaten alive. Only around 10 to 15 survivors are left, and they are relatively isolated in Block E's underground terminal. He further explains that they were looking for a road that vehicles could use, and they also wanted to gather some daily necessities, but suddenly they were attacked by the monster. The other person then suggests that instead of talking here, Kim should join them. He's welcome to come with them to their living quarters on the 4th floor of the basement. They assure him that the monsters never attacked that area, so they can sleep comfortably there. They even offer him some light snacks. Kim considers the offer, eyeing the opportunity to gather some info on the vehicles they mentioned earlier. He's desperate for any leads on how to get a functioning ride. After a moment of hesitation, he decides to accept the invitation, even though he's still unsure if he should trust them fully. As they begin to walk away, the camera pans back to the dead monster lying on the ground. That's when our boy, Kim, quickly retrieves the mana stone from inside the beast, tucking it into his subspace. He feels a surge of relief, knowing that these guys have no idea about his ability. And since Kim isn't exactly a benevolent god, he knows he's got a backup plan. If anything goes south, he can escape into his subspace without a second thought. A while later, they finally reach the basement. As they walk in, Kim's eyes widen in shock. He sees a man who looks like he's just taken down an orc all by himself. Kim's heart skips a beat. This guy is no joke. The atmosphere inside the basement is tense, and Kim starts to realize just how dangerous this place really is. He's definitely scared, but he's got to keep his cool. Choi quickly runs over to his friend, asking what happened and if everything is all right. The orc killer reassures him that everything is fine, explaining that the orc must have wandered in by accident. Fortunately, it didn't see them, so they were able to take it out easily. No one is injured, but they can no longer be sure that the place is safe. On the other hand, Kim feels a bit terrified by how dangerous this place is, but he quickly snaps out of his thoughts when the orc killer asks about him. Choi explains that Kim is the one who saved them from the wyvern and used to work for PAX FC. He also mentions that Kim is quite strong, having killed the wyvern with a thrown axe from a distance. Everyone is amazed and curious about what kind of ability he might have. At that moment, a woman rushes toward Kim, absolutely thrilled that he saved Yongsu and Choi. She's so grateful that she begins doing a happy dance. The others start to gather around him, showering him with praise. Kim tries to downplay it, saying he was just doing what he had to do. Just as our boy is getting so much attention, Choi tries to disperse the crowd, telling them not to tease the young guy. Just then, the orc killer speaks up, saying that everyone here has been working together for over 10 years, and that Yongsu and Byung-chul are like family to him. He's genuinely grateful to meet someone who saved his family and introduces himself as Lee Jin-mok, the center manager of Amazonia. He even bows his head in respect for saving his two friends. Once the pleasantries are over, Jin-mok gives Kim a brief rundown of the place. He explains that while they can't guarantee the safety of the location, it's much more comfortable than the outside world. They have food and water supplies from the logistics center, so Kim can eat as much as he wants without feeling embarrassed and can make himself at home. Jin-mok also mentions that they have plenty of supplies and can get more from the logistics center if needed. However, Yongsu interrupts to point out that the logistics center they're talking about has suddenly disappeared. Of course, everyone is left wide-eyed and their mouths are hanging open at this absurd news. Jin-mok quickly asks, "What on earth does this even mean?" Starts shaking. "Whatever's on the other side of that door, it's not human." Seeing this, Kim gets real scared. His hands start shaking violently. At that moment, Kim realizes that whatever's happening is getting real scary. He hears the sound of a horn from outside. If Kim makes any noise, his death is certain. He stands still like a statue, frozen in place. Kim knows that whoever is on the other side of that door is not human. He starts sweating out of fear. Kim sits down on the floor, terrified. He's praying that whatever is happening will just end soon. Kim thinks this must be a nightmare. He tells himself, "Once I open my eyes, it'll all be over." But sadly, this isn't a dream. Kim falls asleep there, and when he wakes up, he's still in the same warehouse. It's packed with food and resources, so Kim grabs a box of tuna and starts eating it. Turns out it's been 3 days since Kim got trapped in that warehouse. No one's come to save him, and despite trying to call again and again, there's still no network. Kim realizes something big is going on outside, but he has no idea what. He's confused, wondering, is there a war going on? The alarm that was blaring loud for days has gone quiet since yesterday, so at least now Kim can sleep. But he's thinking, how long can I last here? His battery is about to die too. If he stays trapped, he's done for. Kim's just sitting there praying that his sister's mom and dad are safe. He hopes some soldier will come and rescue him, but then, out of nowhere, a notification pops up in front of his eyes. It says, "You have been chosen. Check your awakened ability." A holographic notification hovers in front of him, and another one soon follows. It says Kim's special ability is subspace, and that he can store any object in front of him inside this subspace, but he can only use it once. Seeing this, Kim smiles, a little crazy, and says, "Finally, I've lost my mind." After being alone for months and now trapped for 3 days, it feels like Kim has finally gone mad. He can't even tell the difference between fantasy and reality anymore, but with a smile, he thinks, hey, lasting 3 days in this situation is impressive. If he's really gone mad, might as well act like it, right? Kim sees it says he can store anything in his subspace, so he says, "I want to store this entire logistics warehouse." The system confirms, and when Kim says yes, the entire warehouse disappears. Kim suddenly falls to the ground with a bang. He's confused. He gets up, looks around, and is shocked to see that the sky has turned yellow. All the trucks are upside down, and then he sees his boss lying dead, crushed by something big, with his guts spilling out. Seeing this, Kim feels disgusted. He almost pukes, and then he does. While this is happening, the system notifies Kim that the storing has begun. An operating system suitable for Kim has been found, but because he put such a big object in his subspace, it'll take time for the whole logistics center to be fully stored. We see a progress bar showing 6%, but Kim's too busy puking to care. Suddenly he hears loud footsteps approaching. Kim sees a huge shadow behind him. It's the same growling sound he heard when the doors were slamming loudly before. Now Kim knows there's a monstrous creature standing behind him. We see it, a 15-foot-tall orc with big teeth, red eyes, and blood all over its body, standing right behind Kim. He's drenched in sweat. Kim keeps telling himself, "Calm down. That noise could just be a gorilla or a bear. Maybe it's just a wild animal, right?" Without looking back, Kim starts running, thinking, "Whatever it is, it's not focused on me yet. If I run, maybe I can get away." But as soon as Kim takes off, the orc growls loudly. Kim glances back, and as soon as he does, his eyes go wide, because a real monster orc is chasing after him. Kim starts screaming, running even faster, but his foot slips in his boss's blood and guts, and he nearly wipes out. He's freaking out, unable to process what an orc or some fantasy monster is doing here. He doesn't understand what's happening, and the orc is closing in fast. If this keeps up, the orc's gonna catch him in just a few seconds. Kim realizes his death is inevitable. But suddenly, the system notification pops up again. It says, "Synchronization complete. You can now enter your subspace." The orc is just a few feet away. Kim yells, "Yes!" without thinking, and a portal opens in front of him. Just as the orc raises its hand to grab him, the portal sucks Kim inside. Now, Kim's standing inside the portal, eyes closed, thinking, "Am I in heaven?" But when he opens his eyes, he's shocked. The orc is still there, staring at him from the other side of the portal, but it can't come in. With a shocked face, Kim asks, "Why can't it get inside?" Just then, a drone flies in and explains that no one can enter the subspace except Kim. Without his permission, no one can get in. Kim's stunned by how human-like the drone is. He looks around and realizes he's standing in the logistics center where he used to work. Damn! Kim just unlocked Amazon. Domain expansion. Kim was confused and amazed. He asked the system, "Did you really put the entire Logitech facility inside my subspace, or are the subspace and the warehouse merged?" The system confirmed it. Yes, the entire place was now inside his subspace. The same robots were all there, moving like nothing happened. Then the system announced, "Since you've entered the subspace for the first time, you'll receive a reward for completing the tutorial." A 1-mana stone materialized in Kim's hand, but before he could even figure out what the hell it was, the monster outside started slamming against the portal. The noise startled him, and for a moment Kim almost forgot he was being chased by a fucking monster. The orc growled, drooling, staring at Kim with bloodlust. It couldn't wait to tear him apart. Panicking, Kim frantically shouted, "Are you sure the monsters can't get in?" The system calmly confirmed that nothing could enter the subspace without his permission. Then the system window flashed again, stating that the PAX Fulfillment Center was a 5-story building, covering 33,000 square meters. It had every product needed to improve customers' lives, with a shipping speed of 60 kilometers per hour and a shipment size limit of 2 meters per package. Kim blinked, just as clueless as we are, and muttered, What the hell does shipping speed even mean at 60 kilometers per hour? But before he could make sense of it, the system further confused him, revealing there were only 2 minutes left until maintenance. Wait, what? Kim asked, confused and a bit worried. Is the whole logistics center gonna shut down after 2 minutes? The drone confirmed this, but added that he could use the Mana Stone to supply energy and keep the facility running. Since Kim had just one Mana Stone, it would power the entire place for the next 24 hours. Kim was blown away by the efficiency of the stone, but the drone quickly explained that when the PAX fulfillment center was stored inside the subspace, the energy system had been modified to fit its new environment. So this whole facility runs on Mana Stones? Kim asked, skeptical. Is this real or is this just some sci-fi bullshit? Before the drone could respond, the lights suddenly went out and the drone started flashing warning signals. The PAX system chimed in, explaining that the energy supply to the facility had been cut off, and if it wasn't restored soon, PAX Fresh products would start rotting. PAX Fresh was responsible for storing and delivering everything from fresh vegetables to meat, all kept in frozen and refrigerated conditions. Kim glanced back at the monster, glaring at him through the portal, and realized that the outside world was basically a war zone. In this situation, food was crucial for survival. With the freezers and refrigerators losing power, it was a huge problem. Is the Mana Stone really a substitute for electricity? Kim asked, not entirely convinced. The drone confirmed it, so Kim asked the next obvious question. How do I get more Mana Stones? The drone replied in a matter-of-fact tone, you can obtain Mana Stones from beings of another world. Well, that wasn't exactly comforting. Our boy Kim was not thrilled at the idea of fighting some muscle-bound monster that could rip him apart like paper. Use the Mana Stone for now, Kim sighed, giving in, and then he bolted into the facility to grab some weapons. Once inside, he picked up a handful of weapons, and the system flashed the price for each. He started worrying about running out of supplies if he just threw everything at the monster. Plus, he wasn't even sure if these blades could penetrate the monster's thick skin. So, he came up with a plan. He'd focus on wounding the monster gradually. Since the orc couldn't enter the subspace, Kim didn't need to take it down in one go. He just had to injure it, save his resources, and avoid running out of weapons too soon. With all his strength, Kim threw an axe at the monster. It grazed its skin, and the orc roared, now even angrier. Seeing the monster getting even more rage-filled, Kim started to panic, but he kept going. He threw 13 more heavy axes, but nothing happened. Not a single dent on the beast. His plan wasn't working, and he realized he was running low on weapons. Desperate, he asked Pax how many axes were left in stock. While Pax was busy gathering the info, Kim thought to himself, should I throw a bowling ball? Maybe he should aim for the dangling flesh on the orc. Yeah, that might do some damage. But then Pax shocked Kim with the response. There are 15 more heavy axes remaining. Wait, what? Kim said, baffled. He had just counted. There were only 15, and he'd already used 14. That meant there should only be one left. He quickly asked for the location of these extra axes. Once Kim reaches the storage area, he's shocked to see 15 axes scattered all over the floor. He questions why there are 15 axes when there should only be one. Pax explains in its calm, robotic tone that this is one of Kim's abilities. He can duplicate any item inside his subspace, except Mana Stones. This revelation hits hard. If what Pax says is true, then Kim has access to infinite stocks of weapons. The system confirms it, leaving Kim relieved. He doesn't need to worry about running out of weapons ever again. He could just toss axes at the monster all day long without depleting his stock. Feeling a bit cocky, Kim jokes to Pax, saying, "At this rate, my shoulder's gonna give out before this thing dies." Pax, ever the helpful system, suggests something interesting. Why don't you try the automatic shipment system? Pax explains that Kim can ship one object every 30 seconds, and if he wants to reduce the shipment time, he can upgrade his subspace level using Mana Stones. Kim's like, wait, what? Ship an axe to the orc? How? Pax calmly responds, all you have to do is think about the axe, then shout, ship. Kim's like, all right, let's give it a shot. He thinks about the axe, yells, ship, and before he even knows what's happening, the axe rockets through the portal like a bullet, landing right in the middle of the orc's face, killing it instantly. Kim stands there, stunned, his eyes wide open. He's just unlocked Amazonia Prime service on beast mode. Finally, he understands what that 60 km/h shipment speed was all about. Pax then reveals that Kim can adjust the speed, maxing out at 60 kilometers per hour. To go beyond that, he'll need to enhance his skills. Naturally, Kim asks, how do I level up these skills? The system explains that he can do so using mana stones. At this point, Kim remembers the monster he just killed and realizes he's going to have to fight more of these creatures if he wants to advance. He doesn't waste time. He grabs some gear from the facility, starting with some lightweight combat boots for around 50,000 Korean won and tactical combat pants for about 78,000 Korean won. He also snags a detailed map of the Seoul metropolitan area and a permanent marker. With his map in hand, Kim circles the Gwangju district and marks the neighboring districts, setting a plan to work his way toward his final destination, Ijeongbu, where he hopes to find his parents. But there's one small problem. Kim's starting from Gunpo, and he doesn't even have a car. He realizes it's going to be a long journey to reach his parents. But hey, in a post-apocalyptic world, a regular bicycle is worth its weight in gold. At this point, it might as well be a Lamborghini. He hops on the bike and starts pedaling